Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a short video. This is on 1993 and 1992 EuroVan Instrument Clusters. These are sent to me from a shop in Canada. A good friend, um, and his name is Lucas. I'm just going to just refer as that, so I keep everything private as he requested it. But I want to show these are mechanical instrument cluster as far as the speedometer. He tested that and it's working good. So I will show you the other one in here. So this is the speedometer um, reading in here. Um, so yeah, these are mechanical as far as the speedometer. The rest is all pretty much the same as in 1997, 1999. These are clusters that goes. It's the same connector. In this case, we only have one connector. Let me just turn this one around again. It's a 28 pin black connector. I can show you here. Um, I will put that information, the picture, so you guys can see that better. We're looking for the RPM signal and then providing the signal. I read more the values is just the same as the speedometer. It's a 4 tooth per revolution of the engine. So I was able to put them in here. As you can see, we got, the RPM gauge working. I'm just going to increase the RPM and we can see that in there. Um, for the slides, let me turn this off. As you can see, that went off and I can kill everything as far as battery. And obviously you can do that if you remove the fuses or so on the car, but that's not a common procedure on the vehicle. So I'm just going to turn battery on, clock comes on, ignition. Since I have the RPM signal, let me turn the RPM off. As you can see, that goes off. And then at last, we got the lights. Hopefully the reflection can show the three bulbs on. And then I have the turn signals in the high beam. This is the most common areas that these fails. Things that I know immediately is that the oil level and the coolant, they should come on. And when you power the cluster, this is exactly what you're looking for. So they are working, and I can also check that in here. If I, oops, sorry, I talk and I move the camera away. So let me do that again. I didn't know if you guys were seeing that. So when you power out the cluster ignition wise, this is a check for the bulbs in here, and that is good. That means that these is both are working. I can provide that myself as well. Got the signal at least for the oil. As you can see there, it's blinking. The coolant temperature should blink and also will do it, depends on temperature. Um, if I move this, and now the fuel gauge is going to start to climb. I know that this one has the coolant gauge is definitely not working at all. I'm going to actually increase that level. You'll see that then now the fuel level will probably go up to a little over half a tank. I'm going to put the RPM back again so we can see the actual cluster is alive and is working, but some of the gauges and stuff is not working. I still have to open it up, and this is just test before repairs. I usually like to do this so to corroborate the customer concern and also to put attention on what I need to focus myself in. Their concerns is this coolant level light flashing. That will happen in two scenarios. That will happen if you have a low level on the reservoir, let's say, or if the coolant temperature as it reaches either too high or it doesn't move. So if it's a problem with the gauge itself, it will flash that light as well. And that is also part of the coolant temperature sensor signal. So if let's say you have no reading of temperature and then it's not working, then you can check your wiring over to the coolant temperature sensor. It's a thermistor, so all you need to do is just the same thing, ground the wire, and that should increase your level. Same thing that I'm doing in here with the fuel level. It's almost the same principle. It's in the fuel level gauge, not in the sensor itself, but it's almost the same in here for my testing. And as you can see, yeah, the fuel level is working somehow properly, although I'm going to replace all. Let me just now Uh, Now I put them into zero, and I can see that the fuel level gauge is very slowly coming down. But if I power off, well, yeah, you can see that. You see how this one will come down immediately? This should do the same thing. So we have definitely problems in the separate motors or in the board. Again, I haven't opened it yet. So let me pause the video. I'm going to move the other cluster. So this is RO. Let me see if it's anything or numbers. Well, there are marked, as you can see, we got an arrow to 1277. So this will be the next one that I will be testing. And this has, let me see, has this any arrows? Let me kill the power here and then flip this around. Yeah, this has the arrow 1853. All right, so let me pause the video. I'll be right back. All right, got the other one now in here. Let me power up. Cluster, okay, gauge clock is okay, zero. Very uncommon. I usually start as a one, but we'll see. Okay, the RPM is immediately reading. I have nothing else. Let me see this are working. The lights look like they're fine. Let me put now gauge, fuel gauge, and temperature. Fuel gauge look like it's climbing up. Let me recheck the bulbs. Yeah, the oil level is good. I don't think. Let me just do this. Let me stop the RPM. Once again, ignition. Yeah, I don't see a bulb in here. Look like this is the one that they removed the bulb because it was just annoying for them. All right, so I got to fix that. Let me do the same thing in here. You see, as we can see now, this fuel gauge and coolant gauge are reading. The other one, as you can see, the temperature was never reading. Doesn't mean that these ones are good. At least they're moving. I'm going to re-zero them, and they should come immediately as I turn the ignition off. They should come, boom, and then they're not. So they're definitely separate motors are stuck in there. Um, I don't see anything really major in here, but again, it's hard to say without opening it up. I can see the concerns on what they experience. So let me open these ones up and I'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. So this is again the cluster San Lucas in Canada. I decided to do this as a separate video. It's a very intricate cluster, even though it's that old, to repair and also to disassemble. So I didn't wanted to record. I wanted to focus myself into everything. I want to show you the pictures of that, and I will probably add it into the video at the end for bonus material. Um, I definitely corrected a bunch of issues in here, like the gauges were completely um, loose. Looks like somebody was definitely here. As you can see, I have it running. Everything is now working as it should. Again, let me turn the speed off. Um, my assumption about the gauges going down super fast, not the case with these ones, and not in the fuel gauge and on the temperature. This is a completely different gauge, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Again, the center one is a mechanical, even though it has a connector, electrically part of the same gauge. This is held by four Phillips head screws. Each gauge can be removed before you take the actual board apart. And it's pretty simple that way, but you have to be really careful because this is again 1992, 1993. This is all very brittle. When you remove the board, if you're going to try to do this something, onto this board, I would rather you send it to me and I repair it. Again, this is something very hard to find. The gauges are very hard to find. I repair them most of the time unless somebody touches it and destroys them. It's nothing I can do, and then I'm gonna have to replace the entire gauge, and that's very expensive. So if you don't want to incur into that really expensive repair, just send it over to me, and I will fix everything for you, resolder all the parts that are common, replace a couple capacitors that are again very prone to become a problem, the voltage regulator, which is here on the back in here, very common, immediately replace as well. But again, those are just common things to do with these clusters. So again, ignition, you can see this one is working good. Will all the balls and everything is working. I'm going now to just show that the actual temperature gauge and fuel gauge is working now completely smooth. They was apart. I'm lucky, or this cluster is lucky they got into my hands because otherwise I would have completely be destroyed. It was, and to the point that almost there. These are, let me show you on the pictures, even though I'm going to put these on the pictures. I want to show you here. Sometimes the resolution or the screen recording right now, not the screen recording, the video recording, and here it shows some lines. That's just the speed of the screen. So these are tests that you can do before disassembly. If you read 50 ohms, those are good. Again, this is just a cluster before disassemble with gauges apart. Just again, so you guys can see that. Just replace that all the time and resolder areas. You'll see when you remove that. Very old style, through hole resistors, diodes, and so on. But very good. I mean, these are probably last longer than what we have now. We have a few things missing in here, like these are not that important, but a plastic cover that covers one of the LEDs is missing. Again, somebody was here before me, and those are impossible to retrieve. But you can see here, the motor, the tachometer motor and the fuel gauge and the temperature is pushed through the board. No desolder, no problems in here. So that makes it a lot easier. As you can see, this is the fuel and gauge temperature apart. A thing that I found out, like I said, somebody was here. The wires. Let me see if I have another pic. Yeah. So these two wires in here. This is a resistor. Um, that changes depends on position, right? It will create temperature in here, more voltage. It will make the needle move, and that's the way this works. These wires were just shorted together in here, creating an issue, and the gauge was apart. It looks like again somebody was here. Uh, no doubt about it, but it is now in the correct spot. This is the tachometer, a little more intricate in here. And these are the outputs pins that I use for this 1993. And this is with my decade box. All right, guys, so cut that part. All right, so but yeah, coming back into here, everything is working as it's supposed to. This is cluster RO. Let me see that in there. 1853. So the 1853 is good to go. I will be starting the other one and then put them in this same video as test for that one as well. Hopefully everything goes as smooth as this in this one. But yeah, everything is working good. All balls, everything is good. All right, so I'm going to stop the video and then follow up with that one. Be right back. All right, guys, this is after the repairs on the second cluster. Let me just show you the actual cluster number. Let me see if that is visible there. Yeah, this is the 1277. I still have to open it back again because I did put the LED as you can see here, but when I turn the cluster off and I turn it back on, all I see is the oil one coming on. Give me 1 second. Sorry, as I was saying, the only thing that I see is the oil coming on, and I can check that in here. I am having the signal on that, and you'll see it as soon as I put that on. It's a check for the oil pressure, and it's working, but not the coolant. So I still have to work on that. Good news on the fuel gauge and temperature gauge is they're 100% working now, and this was completely dead gauge. There was a lot of these other areas on the board. I replaced again the voltage regulator, capacitors, and so on. This time, this speedometer was secured right. It was the only concern that I had on the other one, but I will open this one again and then fix this light. Make sure that I'm sending this complete working to him. But yep, so this is a good. Both clusters are indeed working, and I will keep checking his concerns. And let me just turn, sorry, I can turn these down to 0. All I'm applying in here is 30 ohms or 930 to go to rest position 0, and make sure that both goes smooth. I can increase the RPMs. This one is nice and smooth. That gauge, the RPM is working 100% nice and smooth. I always like to keep, I use 48 hertz, and that is with the signal that I am providing. That should go around 1000 RPMs. So this should exactly be around there. As you can see, it's 1000 RPMs. And then as you can see now, these are indeed in rest position. If I move this one from 930 to 30, they will slowly go up. That's just the way those two gauges are, and they will work everything good. Again, all the lights are working. I still just need to fix this. But yep, this is a win-win on these two. This is just a minor concern now that I have to repair. But yeah, so Lucas, both of your clusters are good to go. I will be contacting you shortly to collect payment and then send this your way ASAP. As usual, you're in good hands. Thank you guys for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I know I didn't show much of the removal and everything, but it's like I said, is I like to keep my hands in what I'm doing and focus. It's very easy, very self-taught. Like I said, these they just come off by pulling. You got to be careful. Again, it's a 1992, 1993. You can see this one uses flathead screws. The other one was Phillips. Um, one of the pins in here, you see one in here, the other one in here. This one is missing, but with the two screws in that, it's perfect, not a problem. And I like to always to keep that reading. I put my checks always on a knowing good, save those values, and that's why I give same 48 hertz, same 30 ohms resistance to look for that exact position. If it's not, then something is wrong with the gauge itself and it's out of calibration. And sometimes it's nothing you can do. You just got to replace it. Like the ones in here, you can rewind the wire. Is a very long process of doing it, and if you cannot find it, you have to just use the same wire that comes in there. It's a insulated wire that you can wind and then redo. It's a very intricate process. Sometimes if you can just get the gauges and then do it, but again with these very old clusters, it goes to a very hard to find, and that's why they send it to repair. Again, if I would not recommend normal do-yourself to work in this. It is very easy to destroy this cluster if you don't know what you're doing. Again, guys, thank you so much for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.